What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. I hope you're having a absolutely wonderful day. The reviews are in on the Little Mermaid live action film, and surprise, it's mediocre. Now, most of it is giving Halle Baily a ton of praise for her role as the Little Mermaid, which looks exactly like the original Little Mermaid, and maybe that's true. She's a talented singer, I'm told. I don't remember the Little Mermaid being mostly about singing, but that's what everyone's talking about with this one. But interestingly enough, the press trotted out about 15 pieces today with the old isms defense. Suddenly now Halle Baily is such a tragic figure, worth multi-millionaire. Look, what's weird is the film has a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. This would actually put it in the higher end, of Disney's live action remakes. I don't think that it's a good movie. I mean, I don't think I'm completely uninterested in seeing it. Halle Baily, again, people shouldn't be dunking on her specifically because she's not the one that hired her, right? If you're mad about the race swap or irritated or, fundamentally questioning why Disney does these type of things, then don't go see the movie. I think that's the strongest possible message that can be sent. I think that there are absolutely opportunities out there that we can look at that people who are not woke can point to W's now, that we have Bud Light as a great example. So don't go see this movie. And tell your friends not to see the movie. Wait for it to come out on Disney Plus. I know you're probably paying for it. Most people got Disney Plus either free with this, that, or the other thing, or they have it for this, that, or the other thing. I'm not going to dunk on you for having it, but just wait and watch it on that. There's a million. Watch the original Little Mermaid instead this weekend. Basically, most of the negative feedback is always the same. Halle Bailey, so amazing, slay queen, amazing singer. But the rest of the movie, terrible. You could see these new ones. This film didn't need to exist. Well, you could say that about anything. Avi Offer writes, less heartfelt, funny, enchanting, and exhilarating than the beloved animated classic. Why fix it if it ain't broken? Money. An uneasy mix of carbon copy and superfluous added material presented in, quote, live action and looks and feels and is as artificial as Lightning McQueen. It's diverting for over an hour and a half until you realize that there are still 40 minutes of movie left. So again, this is exactly, it's boring. The movie sucks. It's just not very good. Now, are children known for their excellent takes on movies? I mean, was Frozen any good? I know that there are kids out there that seen Frozen like a zillion times. I mean, my sister wore out the Labyrinth tape when she was young, although Labyrinth is pretty based. I love that movie. It ages okay if you're willing to, it ages okay. It's Jim Henson and a lot of David Bowie package. But anyway, so if you watch it, you won't get it out of your head. But anyway, now they're running out this exclusive Disney Halle Bailey's blindsided by racism from trolls after Little Mermaid casting. Now, you might think this is a weird thing to be happening because the movie's already out. Well, it just so happens that these articles are flooding now that the reviews are out. Halle Baily on how she overcame shocking Little Mermaid backlash. How can you be so stupid? First of all, again, if you were saying heinous things to Halle Baily about her skin color, about any of that kind of stuff, you're an idiot. She's not the one. Disney hired her. It's not her fault. It's not her. I mean, I think that if you're mad at her, then make it about the things that she says. Disney's the one that's saying, "Oh, Ariel would be better if she was black." Let's be clear. That's what Disney thinks. That's what Disney does with live actions. You see, I mean, here, horrendous racism. I mean, the question is, will the box office do anything? We're going to talk about that in a minute, but I can already tell they're running this out to run interference. Halle Baily says the online trolling she received when she landed the role of Ariel pales in comparison to her grandparents' experiences in America's Deep South. Her grandparents would have been alive in the 70s. What is she talking about? Is she talking about they weren't picking cotton? She's like 20 years old. Her grandparents are probably still alive. And yes, racism exists, but okay, anyway. She was shocked by the outpouring of online hate after it was announced she would play a fictional Disney character. Yes, it only matters because the word fictional is purposeful there. She said she was able to put the vile trolling into perspective by considering the racism her grandparents had to put up with. What? Then why is she even whining about it? While the negative comments started, I was shocked because it wasn't something I anticipated. How could you not anticipate that? At least not on that scale. Okay, that's fair. Then I started to think, I'm from the Deep South. It's not like the first time I've experienced racism. Ugh. This isn't, it's oh my God. How much of the online hate was actually directed at Halle Baily, by the way? And if it was misguided. This is like the whole Kelly Marie Tran thing all over again, isn't it? How many people are adding her and calling her a piece of garbage or something like that, you know? When I think about the horrendous experiences they had, it makes a hashtag and some online hate seem totally inconsequential, but I'm doing all these interviews about it. Halle, who has been backed by Beyonce and Zendaya, who cares, since finding fame singing as a teen, said watching how young girls relate to her character encouraged her to focus on the positives. Good, I think that's okay. For coloreds only, her grandparents didn't even live in a time when for coloreds only was a thing. What? This kid, what? How old is Halle Baily? She's 23 years old. If her grandparents are 70 right now, which would be maybe about right. It could be a little younger. That would have put them in the late 50s, early 60s when they were infants. So they would have been around probably in the 70s. At 23, my grandparents were, let's see, 70, 50? 50, no, 60. So yeah, I suppose maybe. It's not like they were, maybe. I don't know if these things were around when Halle Baily her grandparents were around. Why are you bringing it up then if it's no big deal? And again, this is the media, not Halle Baily. They asked the question. So I'm clear too. I am sure she was asked about it. If she brought it up unprompted, then I suppose that would be a little different. But I know the media, and they're like, but we want to write titles and we want to call people online trolls. My Nana used to see her family picking, and my grandpa remembers whites only water fountains. Okay, so her grandpa remembers white only water fountains. Okay, all right, so that's why they're showing that picture. I'm like, what? I don't think her Nana used to see her family picking cotton. What? Slavery ended in 1865. Is her Nana 250 years old? Now, the whites only thing, that could have existed depending on the timeline. But if she was picking cotton, it's because it was her job, not because she was a slave. Her Nana used to see her family. So I guess if it's her great-great-grandma, even that is highly unlikely. Because you would have been, I don't know, I don't want to dig into the family tree, but if her grandma's 70 and her great-grandma, if her grandma lives to be it's 250 years ago plus. That's more than 2 generations. And especially given the life expectancy rate in the 1800s, this is probably like 3 or 4 generations. There isn't a single person alive with a family member that was a slave. There isn't a single person alive whose grandparent was a slave. So I don't even really understand it. The media just loves this stuff, though. And, you know, ultimately, what they're going to say is so that this film needs to make 500 million to break even, roughly, I think, 5 or 600 million. So it says a Little Mermaid could swim on its way to 400 million domestically. My over-under is at 800 million. So for me, I don't know what to guess on these live-action films. Little Mermaid is pretty iconic. It's a pretty big deal. It's a much bigger deal than like a live-action Cruella ever was. So, you know, it's on the par with The Lion King, I would say. So if this movie made $1 billion, I would not be surprised. I have no idea what to expect. 600 million, I'm sure that would be a flop. The fact that China isn't seeing it doesn't surprise me. That doesn't really mean it's going to necessarily tank here. The Little Mermaid should bring north of 400 million domestically, potentially making it Disney's biggest summer hit when compared to previous live-action remakes. This gross would be on the higher end, just behind Beauty and the Beast of 504 million, and The Lion King is 543. Just behind. $150 million is a lot behind. To date, no Disney live-action film has peaked at 400 million, with projects like Aladdin and The Jungle Book resting below 370. The Little Mermaid could be the first Disney remake to touch 400 million and stay afloat. I don't know. These numbers are so wild because, like, you know, the $1 billion, it could make $1 billion. To me, it doesn't seem like a very good movie, but if they're already out here running, you know, tracking low in China, we know that, I don't want to impugn all Chinese people, but we do know that China doesn't particularly care for black leads, historically. So this movie doing poor in China doesn't surprise me. You know, I don't know what, you know, Black Panther did there either, but it's also Marvel. It's tough to say. But yep, trot out the trolls and the toxic trolls and all this kind of stuff to make her seem like she's a hero while getting paid more than any of us could ever imagine. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it, and we'll talk to you again real soon.